Hi everybody, Mischa here with Word of the Day, and there it is. Kakistocracy. What does this noun, kakistocracy, mean? It refers to a government that is run by people who are the most ill-suited people to be running the government, the least qualified people. And where does it come from? It comes from ancient Greek with the same meaning. So you know we've been at this for a while, right? Okay, so Greek to Latin to French to English. And when it comes into English, well, there's a little bit of a disagreement here. People who are historical linguists will put it at 1644 because it appeared in a sermon to Parliament that year. But then it sort of goes away for such a long time that the OED actually puts the date at 1829 and attaches the name of Thomas Love Peacock to that entry of the word kakistocracy. And man, this guy, Mr. Peacock, was a very interesting guy to me because on the one hand, he was a bureaucrat. He was a bureaucrat and he worked for the East India Company, the British East India Company. So that means he had a little income anyway. He had a job. On the other hand, he was a novelist and his specialty was satire. But he was such a brilliant guy that he wrote like philosophical satires and satires about science and literature and everything. Government, he hit it all. And he had some very, very big fans later in history. Somebody like George Bernard Shaw just loved this guy. But it had to have been a little lonely finding people to talk to. After all, he was a bureaucrat. And he ended up becoming a kind of a sponsor for Shelley, for Percy Shelley, the poet, because poets never have any money, and so he helped him out financially, and honestly, I think in return, he probably got some great conversations that he really craved. It's not easy to be a guy like Mr. Peacock, honestly. Okay, now what happened to kakistocracy? Because it was not used much after that. It just sort of fell asleep on the shelf, the dictionary shelf, and it was pulled out on occasion by scholars and used here and there, and that's all. If you looked in the dictionaries a few years ago, it would have been categorized as either rare or obsolete. But then something woke up the sleeping giant of kakistocracy. And it suddenly became the most shared, obscure English word in the entire internet. 2016, the beginning of the presidential election. There you go. That's when it came in, and it has been with us ever since for good reason. Now, how can we use it? Let me just put it in a couple of sentences for you. I think this is not a complicated concept. How about this? I think a government in which the head of the education department is really just a specialist in wrestling champions, and the head of health and human services does his fine dining on roadkill, there's a pretty fair chance we got a kakistocracy going on here. And my own personal sentence here. Yeah, people cause problems when they're seeking power, and they often end up in homeowners associations. When an HOA goes bad and sinks, it can sink into kakistocracy seriously faster than a bunch of sophomores can evacuate a classroom when the bell rings, and that's fast. So those are my two sentences. Use them in the comments if you like, and certainly there's plenty of opportunity to use them out there. And in the meantime, if you do like satire and satire novel or novels of satire, there are a few geniuses out there, like my favorite philosopher. There it is, Voltaire, and the book is Candide, and his satire is pretty wicked. Okay, if you want to buy a book like this, don't go to the big boys. Let's support independent booksellers by clicking above or below at bookshop.org/shop/word of the day, and I'll see you later.